with Cora. So I'm really happy to have my next guest on. She's actually a name twin of mine, and the reason why I changed my name to Cora Jane. She is a singer-songwriter, she is a presenter, she's an actress and a model, so she's multi-talented in many different ways. So I'm happy to introduce you today to Corinna Jane. How are you? How's it going?
Hello, hi name twin.
Hello.
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's sort of surreal to be interviewed by a Corinna Jane to a Corinna Jane. It's
Yeah,
never happened
I know. I mean, this is going to go down in history for sure.
before. Has to.
Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you. And this is the first time we've actually spoken, I say in person, but other than text or something. So it's been really lovely to have you and actually chat with you. So thank
Yes, well,
you.
this is the new in person, isn't it? In this virtual world we live in these days.
Exactly. Hopefully it doesn't stay this way for forever, but yes, this is what we have gotten used to in the last year or so. So it's great actually to have this technology to be able to do this, I think.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so we're here to chat about your music, which is fantastic. And I've got a few questions for you. So let's start back. Back in the day. Where did Corinna Jane start writing music?
Very early on, and I know that can sound like a little bit of a cliche sometimes, "Oh, I started very young," but I think a lot of musicians they do start very young. Not all of them, but I think it's just sort of something that's kind of you have to be passionate about from a very little age. So I was actually born in Germany. And my dad is British, my mum was French, and he introduced me to sort of MTV, and he was playing the piano. And through all of this, I kind of decided that I wanted to be copying the people that I was seeing on MTV, and I would go to the piano and pick songs out by ear. And then I remember the first thing I ever wrote was actually when I was 6, and it was a little piano tune called Rainy Afternoon. And it came off the back of watching some documentary on TV about different pianists and composers, and it was for kids, but there was something about it that just kind of got the juices flowing in my head. And I remember just going to the piano, writing something and showing my mum, my grandfather who was there at the time, and that was my first into the world of kind of composing things and getting a lot of satisfaction from making something that was my own, really.
Wow, at 6 years old, that's impressive.
Well, I don't know if it was any good, but it wasn't too bad for a 6-year-old. It was quite melancholy. I think that's sort of stayed with me since.
Wow. I think that's amazing though. I think I was definitely into music when I was younger, but never like picked up an instrument enough to be able to do that at 6. So that's really amazing. And so, because you were an actress as well, were you into music before you went into acting?
Yeah, I mean, when I say for me, music's always the main thing. I love acting as a passion where I do some local theatre, and I have done, bits here and there on screen, but nothing as significant as what I do with music. But I think that the two things go hand in hand, really. I think if you are, I mean, there's different kinds of musicians, but if you're a performer type, which I definitely feel that I am, you naturally want to do things on stage. And so they and I like to bring that into my music videos. So for me, some of my music videos are quite a cinematic affair because you get to kind of create your own world, your own little film set
Yeah.
accompanied by music.
Yeah, definitely. And I see some snippets of your videos before. What was the one that you did on a train? What did you play?
Yeah, so that's definitely my favorite to date because I mean the way it all came about was quite amazing. And if you kind of believe in sort of a little bit of fate and divine intervention, it was one of those things where things just came together how they were meant to. So I wrote this song The Train a few years ago, and it was about those moments when you're on a train and you feel quite alone, although there's so many people around you.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to create something where you could feel the sense of there being so many people on a train, but how can you get them all to connect? And when you're feeling quite lonely, you could catch the eye of a stranger, and you could imagine, you can imagine maybe a romance or something. They're getting a little bit carried away by someone who might feel the same way, and you imagine this connection. And I had this idea in my head for so many years, and then I brainstormed this with my friend AJ, who's done a lot, well, not a lot, he's done 2 of my music videos, and we really wanted to do a short film that was a music video as well. And originally we were thinking, oh, we're going to have to raise this big budget, we're going to have to start a Kickstarter, we want to get like the Orient Express or something. I mean, not really, but like, you know, something close enough. And then the whole thing just got a little bit complicated. I thought, you know what, let's just give up. Let's just go to my local little railway. I'll do some lip syncy bits. We'll get a few extras on board. We'll see what happens. Like some of my mates. And then the whole thing just turned into this amazing thing where it was better than what we had planned it originally. And we paid nothing. The local railway let us use the train for free for 2 days. A Facebook post I put out circulated practically the whole county. The local press got hold of it here in Northamptonshire. Then I had 60 strangers on board my train, and some of them were friends, but most people I didn't know. I had a friend who hadn't really done acting before, who then played my mystery man. A fan played the train guard. I had some dancers on board that ended up choreographing something for us, and the whole thing was just like, it just happened. And so it was really special to me. So it ended up being the short film music video, but yeah.
Wow. That's a perfect example of something organically coming to be what it really wanted to be. That's really lovely. Amazing.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. And do you do a lot of kind of co-writing? Because I see that you've had a single with someone else as well, a remix kind of that's been done. Do you write with other people or?
Oh yeah, a lot of it. So when it comes to my own solo stuff, I very much enjoy writing with another person who, you know, shares a similar style with the same wavelength. So when I went to Rome, I was going to say last year, but now it's the year before last, but you know, just before the pandemic, really, like time has sort of lost all kind of sense of meaning now. So when I went to Rome and worked with the producer Francesco, you know, we really hit it off. And so the last single, I'm Not Ready Now, and Give Me a Sign, which is a song I'm going to be performing shortly, they're songs I co-wrote with Francesco, and and there's some other songs I've written before with others that are also out, like my friend Becky Jerem. So I think you know, actually, because she's also from your neck of the woods. So we've written some songs together. We've got a song called Distant Lights out together. And what I love about co-writing is that what you create together sounds nothing like you would create on your own. It's a real, like baking a cake. You put all these ingredients in, you don't really know what's going to happen until you put it out of the oven and you taste it. And that's what's really exciting, because you go in with no agenda. And so I think it keeps things healthy and keeps things fresh. It brings out different sides to you, and it makes more interesting content rather than it just being always what's introverted inside of you. But I also do a lot of top lining. So that's writing lyrics and melodies for dance producers and DJs. And they're always on the lookout for singers to write the melodies that go on top of their electronic tracks, because they're not songwriters in the sense that they're going to write, you know, the vocal melodies. And so they're always seeking that aspect. So I've been able to collaborate with so many people in that respect, and quite significantly known DJs. And that brings out a whole other side to me, because my solo stuff's more of a, you know, either pop rock or kind of acoustic-y piano stuff. So it keeps things interesting, you know, it keeps things more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And I've only had a taste of co-writing this year. And I've only been a songwriter, I'm a baby really in songwriting world. But I've only been songwriting a couple of years, and I was terrified of co-writing. But you're right, it does bring an extra kind of little bit of magic and excitement to actually creating a song.
And don't you find it takes away some of the self-doubt? So sometimes you could shrug off an idea, but actually someone else encourages that and you bounce off each other.
Definitely. I co-wrote with about another 4 people, which is quite a large group really for a co-write, but it was during a boot camp, and yeah, it was just bouncing off each other. And yeah, you're right, with you can actually share something and you think it might be rubbish, but someone else grabs hold of it and then creates something else out of it. And yeah.
Absolutely. It's about finding the wavelength, though. You have to be on the same wavelength, because otherwise it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I had that experience too with a different group. But yeah, definitely you have to be on the same kind of wavelength is the word that you used. I'll go with that one. And what inspires you in your songwriting, or even who inspires you?
I've been trying to answer that question myself over the last year, because I think and the reason why I've been asking myself that question is because during the pandemic, when you're not, you know, you haven't got that momentum of life, you're not out and about, you're not meeting people, you haven't got necessarily all these daily events that can swirl around your mind because there's so much of the same. I was starting to think, well, what is it that inspires me? Like, what makes me write a song? And it is usually like a very strong feeling. And it could be a feeling of sadness, of lust, of I don't know, anger, all those things. Those, I have to be feeling quite passionate about that emotion. And that's usually when I start to hear those melodies in my head. And then I go to the piano or the guitar, and then I might have a song title and what the lyrics are going to be about. But I don't tend to write the lyrics until the melody's done. The melodies usually come quite quickly, and then I spend some time on the lyrics. And a lot of artists do it the other way around. They do lyrics, the melody, but I've only done one song like that before. So I have to be inspired by sort of life events, except for when co-writing, then you kind of conjure up something. But you know, I think sometimes when I hear a great album by an artist that I really love or have only just discovered, it makes you want to do better. Like, it makes you kind of go, I want to do this. So not because you're trying to compete, but because you're so inspired that you think, oh, I can do this too, or actually there is some great stuff out there. But there are times when, you know, especially during lockdown, where there isn't much that's really creating that fire in my belly, and so I sometimes just have to accept it and go, okay, you know, I don't have to have songs all the time. Like, you know, but let them come to me when they're ready.
Yeah. And do you ever kind of just get to the point where you need to stop everything that you're doing and just write because something's come up?
Yes, and it's always in an inconvenient time. Like, it's usually when I'm trying to fall asleep at like 2 a.m. or something, and then and it's one of those things where you grab your phone and you sing something like completely unintelligible into your phone, try not to wake the house, go I can't even make it out the next day. But they're usually the good ones. Those are the songs I get excited about, is when they find me, because I have, not that I'm being lazy, but I haven't had to try. It's like and I know that could sound a bit cocky as well, like, oh, the songs, they find me, but it's like they have to kind of enter your mind from somewhere. So
No, I totally agree with that. I'm on board with that kind of way of thinking. Like, if you can allow something to just come through you, and organically appear and almost write itself, then great.
yeah, absolutely. Those are the best ones, the ones that write themselves. You're right.
Yeah. And what's the quickest you've ever written a song?
That was excuse me, sorry, probably about 10-15 minutes, and that really was just like you know, it's just come to me. And I mean, when I say written the whole song, so the lyrics and the melody came really quickly together. And usually melodies I can come up very quickly within minutes, or, you know, sometimes I might still have to sit in my mind for a little while. But this particular song is called It Was All Right. And it's almost like a slight Beatles-esque, Elton Johnny kind of song, or like a John Lewis advert song. That's what people tell me. And it's on the EP that's going to come out shortly. See a little plug I've slipped in there, and that might be the next single. And with that one, it was such a easy song, you know, like the chords were easy, the melody was easy, it just came out. It was about, you know, summer romances sort of fizzling out, but there not being any bad vibes, it just being a nice memory. And it was very honest at the time. That doesn't always happen, you know. Sometimes I have to let the melodies swim around my mind for a while, or I have sometimes got loads of melodies, but I haven't got around to the lyrics yet. So
Cool. And how long have you been working on, like, the longest time working on a song?
That's a really interesting question, because I think sometimes the longer you work on a song, the faster the magic gets a little bit lost. But then, you know, sometimes when you've got some really good bones to songs, I mean, I found sometimes songs where, like, for example, one of my songs, Echoes of My Mind, it tends to be one of the more popular ones with my fans. And with that one, I kind of sort of, I mean, it was like I've got my piano here, but it was, I just had this riff, like, and I had this moments that echo in my mind, have the power to seduce me. And I had just that, and I recorded it on my phone, and I thought, oh, it's too miserable, I won't do anything with it. And then one day I was like sat on a train, and I was looking through my old voice notes, and I thought, why did I let that one slip out the net? Like, what was I thinking? And then I kind of wrote the rest of it on the train and came home, and it sort of just happened. But it's weird. It's kind of scary how you could let something slip out the net that ends up being people's favorite. So
That's it. I found that with a couple of my songs. The one I think is the greatest, everyone's just like, we like that one better. I'm like, oh.
And it's kind of frustrating at the same time, but then you've got to think, well, actually, wait, they're still my songs. So, yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've prepared a couple of songs for us today, which is great. So we're going to have a listen to those now, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got two that you're playing for us. What are those ones called? We'll chat about what they're about after, but what were they titled?
So we've got a song called Little Girl, which isn't out anywhere yet in any kind of format. And then we have Give Me a Sign, which is an acoustic version of the pop rock single, if you like, from which I released back in October.
Wonderful. So we've got an exclusive song that no one's ever heard before.
Yes.
Doing a sneaky preview for you all. Listen to that. Right then, let's have a listen to these songs.
Oh, little girl, how have you been? It's been a while since we have talked. Oh, let me into your daydream, the ones you've had since you could walk. If I could share with you some of my thoughts to help you shape your future soul, don't lose the faith in your own spark, for the ebbs and flows will help you grow. And breathe in fire and the earth, put it in a letter and see the oceans change their course, for better, for worse. Put it in a letter and see the tides become your force. When you're plagued by those who don't believe, imagination is your friend. Don't let the gremlins in your mind dictate your path until the end. Release the fears, exhale the doubts, let the angels show you what to do. Oh, little girl, please don't forget to keep the child alive in you. And breathe in fire and the earth, put it in a letter and see the oceans change their course, for better, for worse. Put it in a letter and see the tides become your force. Remember when you feel alone, there's a memory you can always call upon, but you're never on your own. Within you the spirit lies. Oh, little girl, where have you been? What is it that you plan to do? Oh, let me into your daydream. I think we share the same ones too. And breathe in fire and the earth, put it in a letter and see the oceans change their course, for better, for worse. Put it in a letter and see the tides become your force. Life Sometimes I think that's all I feel. Oh, why don't you give me a sign, like the sea that leads a trail along the shore? It's not your promise, mine. So pour the light that leads me to your door. While the world still spins, your life begins. But that is just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Life. Sometimes I want to feel the pain, 'cause it makes me feel alive. Love, well, it's the only thing we know will carry on when we're long gone. Why don't you give me a sign, like the sea that leads a trail along that shore? It's not your promise, mine. So pour the light that leads me to your door. While the world still spins, your life begins. But that is just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Oh, and I've been trying to numb the loneliness inside, always searching for the cure. Guess that's something we all do. Why don't you give me a sign, like the sea that leaves a trail along that shore? It's not your promise, mine. So pour the light that leads me to your door. While the world still spins, your life begins. But that is just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Life goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and life will go on. While the world still spins, your life begins. But that is just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign, give me a sign, give me a sign. Life.
Wow. They're amazing songs.
Thank you very much.
Do you I had a vibe of listening to Little Girl. Firstly, I was thinking, ooh, Tori Amos and Kate Bush style. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, and I particularly do love Tori Amos's early work. So definitely probably something inspired by her somewhere down the line for sure.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. She's great. And yeah, I can really hear that inspiration maybe that you've maybe drawn from that from listening to her. But yeah, who would you say inspires you, like artist wise?
There's so many, really. I think I have a bit of a sort of, I guess, a Venn diagram of different influences. I kind of got my pop rock side, which is influenced by bands I was listening to in my teenage years, like the likes of sort of the Green Days and the Paramores and the Avril Lavignes and like all that kind of stuff, or Panic at the Disco, like all that kind of emo girl stuff that I sort of grew up on. But then in terms of like singer-songwriters over the years, I mean, definitely Sheryl Crow was one of my first go-tos. Tori Amos definitely was a really big I still am a big fan of Marina and the Diamonds as well. I mean, she's not got called and the Diamonds anymore, but Marina now.
Yeah.
So she was one of the people I really loved when she first came out. Katie Tunstall as well, Casey Musgraves, a country singer I really like. Just a whole load of people. Alanis Morissette for sure. I mean, obviously, what singer-songwriter who's female doesn't list her somewhere in the influences. And then like really old school stuff. I mean, of course, I love the Beatles and like the Kings and just good pop music. I think for me, anything that's just got a really good melody,
Yeah.
I'm drawn to. So there's all sorts of things that come in, and I think one thing that people maybe struggle with me is that one song could sound like it's one thing, like one kind of genre, and then the next song's like slightly different. And sometimes people get a little bit anxious to pigeonhole me, but they can't quite. But so I like to vary things up a little bit. So
No, I think that's really nice to have the different kind of areas of inspiration inspiring different types of your songs. So, but thank you for sharing those with us. And do you want to give us a little bit of a lowdown of what they're about?
Yeah, so Little Girl is a song I wrote 2 years ago, but I just haven't really put out yet. Um, and that was one of those songs that struck me while I was trying to fall asleep one night, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to sleep, but I also want to know what this is about. And all I heard was a really silly lyric, like it was like fire and the earth, put it in a ladder, and I was like, well, that doesn't mean anything, but it sounds quite good. And then the whole song kind of took shape the next day, and it was really about me addressing myself as my younger self, as a little girl self. So when I was talking earlier about, you know, the girl that was writing songs at 6, I'd been watching home videos of myself when I was little, and it was really weird because I kind of saw a lot of myself now in her, like the things she was really interested in, but I had like a real kind of, sounds really weird, I was kind of trying to nurture the little girl version of myself, trying to take care of her. And it was sort of like, it was kind of like trying to console her and myself, my future self, and give myself advice as a little girl, and just to not get a little bit too caught up in emotions or anxiety, or what other people think or say you should be or do. And kind of, there's a little slight sort of spiritual element in it as well, you know, like there's always like angels you can call upon. It's sort of, yeah, I didn't even know where it really came from, but it was important for me to write for myself at the time, I think. Yeah.
And I think that could be quite relatable for any younger people that might be listening to your music as well. So I look forward to when you release that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm planning to sort of try and do production at home and put some strings on it and sort of make it very intimate.
Amazing. And what about the second one?
So give me signs, like when you hear the sort of full pop rock production of this track, it's a real different kind of beast. And although the song doesn't really sound like it on the surface of it, it was definitely for me about grief. So I lost my mum, well, it was coming up to 2 years ago. And when I went over to Rome to record with Francesco, it was a bit of a strange time because it felt like it was really not the right time to just go off to Rome and explore this new avenue. I was still like a little bit sort of messed up, but this is the first track we wrote together, and it was a really cathartic song where actually I was sort of calling out, like, you know, is there something beyond what we see, you know, is there a sign from beyond, like, and it wasn't just sort of calling out to my mum, it was just like the universe, everything, and just asking for that confirmation. But it was also really trying to, because at the time I was feeling really numb and it was really weird, and I didn't like feeling numb. It just was a really strange feeling. I thought I must be like a psychopath, like why am I not crying, what's going on? It's kind of like quite a normal process in grief. So when I say a line like, oh, sometimes I want to feel the pain because it makes me feel alive, I'm sort of being a little bit sort of sarcastic at the process. So it was me just really lashing out and just wanting to feel something. So yes, I got to channel my inner Alanis with that song in the pop rock version of it, for sure.
Amazing. And do you, because you're talking about grief, obviously it's never easy to lose anyone, especially a parent, and do you feel like songwriting has helped you in the grieving process, or have you had to put that down for a bit these 2 years?
It's actually a bit of both, really, I'd say. So there have been songs that have come out about my grief, but only a few. And so the last single I released, I'm Not Ready Now, was also a song about that. I've got another song I haven't released yet, which is really, really, absolutely, completely about grief. But it's one of those things where once you've written a few songs about it, you sort of don't want to write about it anymore. You know, you've dealt it. It's a harrowing emotion. It doesn't really, it flows in and out like the tides, really. And so there comes a point when actually you feel like you need to live for that person. You need to, you like, well, especially with my mother, she put me here on this earth, so I need to live for her. I need to, you know, remember that why I'm here, and it's to enjoy life, to save a life, to live it with purpose. And so after a while, you have to try and put those emotions to bed. And there was a time I just didn't really feel like writing songs because I just didn't want to go there again. And there's only, I think, in recent times where I've been much more open again to feeling new emotions about different things. I think when lockdown fully, well, it is kind of over, but like almost fully over, then when life starts happening again, that's sort of the stimulus I need to write.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing those songs with us and talking us through your journey and your writing experience. Been really lovely chatting to you. We're unfortunately coming towards the end. The half an hour never stays around for long. But just as normal, if you can give us, if anyone else has obviously watched or listened before, if you can give us all like the places where people can stream your music, follow your journey, that sort of thing.
Well, if they head to CorinnaJane.com, all the relevant links are on there. But if if you simply type Corinna Jane to Spotify, if you type it into YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and so forth, you will find it. But you have to also be careful that you don't mix me up with the Corinna Jane in Australia, or indeed yourself. So, and I feel really bad saying that, because it's like everyone, all of you are so lovely, and we're all like, oh, we're sort of having to find our space on Google. But yeah, CorinnaJane.com, you'll find all the links.
Yeah, and your face is very distinctive, so I typed you into Spotify earlier, and I think you both came up at the top, and I knew exactly which one was you, so I think it should be fine for everyone listening. So yeah, that's grand. Okay, well, I'll pop your links and everything down below on the video anyway for everyone. And just before I let you pop off here, just the last question: if you could give the listeners or the watchers out there one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just like life advice in general?
Yeah, or about anything. Yeah.
I think, well, this is sort of one of the conclusions I've come to myself recently. I think if you do the things that make you happy, that you really, light the fire in your belly, regardless whether they seem logical or rational or sensible or not, you will find happiness in some way. Because at the end of the day, I hate using the phrase "at the end of the day," so, but when all is said and done, you this is your time, and why would you want to be spending all your time doing something you dislike, or that doesn't make you happy, or is living your life for what others think you should be doing? And as long as you're doing those things that make you happy, it will lead on to something, and you can't control the outcome, so you might as well do exactly what you want to do. I think that's what I would say.
That's really sound advice. I think I agree with that 100%. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Corinna, for coming on. It's been lovely chatting to you in the new real person way at the moment. And lovely to have, what's your bear's name again?
This is Harvey the bear.
Harvey. Lovely to have you, Harvey.
He's always there.
He's always
observing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you pop off, but thank you for coming on the show. And everyone go and follow Corinna Jane, go show her some love. And yeah, we'll pop you off for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye.
Oh, do you know what? I remember when I was little and felt like I was the only Corinna out there, like no one else had my name. And then I grew up, but it was like in your teens and 20s, and then I found out all these people had my name, and it was just amazing. Although, when I was younger, I was like, hey, I'm no longer the only one. But obviously, as you grow older, it's really nice to hear and speak to all these different people with the same name. It's brilliant. So it's really a pleasure to have Corinna Jane on. But please don't go and follow her. I'll pop all the links below as usual. Go show her some love, stream her music, say hello to her, all of those things. As you can tell, she's really lovely. So yeah, please do show her some love. So finishing off today, I have a quote for you from the TV show Westworld. I've been watching that. We just finished season 3. This is the last season anyway that's available at the moment. And there's a quote from one of the main characters that I just really resonated with that today, which is when I watched the last episode. And the quote is, "Some people choose to see the ugliness in this world, the disarray. I choose to see the beauty." And I just heard that and I was like, yes. That's basically me. That's what I do. I know the world can be really ugly and can be full of chaos and full of bad people sometimes. And it's for me, it's like you can either concentrate on all of that and feel like you're powerless to do anything, or you can concentrate on the beauty of the world and then obviously feel happier, be able to feel like you can do something. And yeah, I won't go into it, you can interpret it your way as well, but I felt like that was an amazing quote to share with you today. So I hope you've got something out of that. Yeah, I can stop talking about it now. But thank you again for watching, listening, being with us today, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.